We human beings are utterly addicted to novelty. And as a human being myself, I can attest. I'm from Gen Z, and I spend some of my time scrolling through the stupidest videos of dogs, cats, and babies. And I know during that time, I will find something worth my time and worth a laugh. The pursuit of novelty is both a thrill and a feeling of nostalgia. And we pursue novelty by different means. Some of us are more ambitious for novelty, and the rest of us, we let the ambitious ones do their thing, and we kind of just take our slice of the pie. It doesn't matter though if you're the engineer designing the next iPhone or the customer buying it, both of us are chasing a new form of being that was not previously known to exist. But the iPhone may not be the best example because it kind of just stays the same every year for like the last decade. So the point is, over the course of our existence, it is the pursuit of novelty that has maintained our motivation to exist and evolve. And it starts in the plains in Africa, where we celebrate our victory dinner from the day's hunt, where we dance and we sing and we paint our triumphs, our understandings, and our aspirations. Early on, we also became engineers. We utilized fire, we made tools, we made the wheel, we built shelter. We learned how to harvest and take power over the soil. Now think for a second, the empowerment and the awe that our big-brained monkey ancestors experienced during those times of evolution. Still today, we can stand back and say, wow, how fascinating it is that biological life can morph its environment in such a dramatic way. We followed the pursuit of a novel experience in the building of civilization, in trade between civilizations, in the formation of written languages, in press, in medicine, science. Where now science has shown that novelty is a primary factor towards our intrinsic motivation to survive, explore, and avoid certain environments and behaviors. Essentially, we are maneuvering our way through three-dimensional space and time through the factor of novelty. Now, as we look back in the past 50 years, it seems that computational powers have been the guiding force to manifest this pursuit of novelty, with a breakthrough happening every 10 to 15 years. We saw this with the personal computers in the early 80s, the internet in the mid-90s, smart devices and social media about 15 years ago, and now artificial intelligence. And you may say to yourself, like I often do, what the hell is going on here? It almost seems as if time is speeding up, as if things are getting more and more complex ever since the universe began, and humans seem to have a relatively big part in it. And I repeat, ever since the universe began, it seems that things are getting more and more complex, meaning that novelty is not only a subject to human beings, but all of nature's motivations. The continental drift of terrains, the evolution of new animal species, the formation of planets, the explosion of stars into black holes. Again, I say more often than not, what the hell is going on here? Well, perhaps in that statement and reality, it isn't so hellish. Rather, it is a basic computational power of the universe, something we know as the second law of thermodynamics, which says that the universe's energy will extend into areas where it isn't. We are constantly in a state of expansion, spontaneously. Energy is just chaotically creating its own landscape. But on the contrary, it seems that things have kind of worked out pretty well. There is order that springs forth out of this entropy. And when it comes to novelty produced by human beings, There is a warning in our minds, a hesitation in our sense of security, as if what we do is a threat to the rest of the universe, as if we are out of alignment. Now, coming back to the evolution of computation, this too seems that we are going to lose control, that AI too will extend out of alignment with the human species, that, as the AI godfather Alan Turing once said in the 1950s, the machines will take control. We are already seeing massive arrival predictions decrease from 2022 to last year, 2023, where decades, literally decades, are being shaved off for the arrival predictions for label to be fully automated and machines to be unaided in accomplishing every task better and more cheaply than human workers. We can thank much of ChatGPT and its abilities that awakened us to the capabilities of large language models. One of those capabilities being the ability to describe its own capacities back to the users, meaning this technology is aware of its current limitations and its strengths if prompted to explain. We also know that it can mimic work of Shakespeare and do our essays. It could write code as good and or better than a human being. It can make art like that I'm showing here in this slideshow. And most importantly, it can do our homework. Our ability to turn back and away from artificial intelligence is long gone. We have already jumped off the diving board, per se, and we are at that moment when we are caught in the air between the board and the deep water. And the question now is, will we land the dive or will we belly flop? Do we have control? And will we time our decisions properly and consciously enough to survive? But in this, I should say there's a dramatic fallacy. And I can say that we are becoming, or what we have always been, is very egotistical and self-centered when it comes to artificial intelligence endeavors. It's always for the survival of the human species, the growth of our economy, the bettering of our education, and the advancement to the stars. It's for us, it's all about us, and somehow it'll work out. In this logic, we seem to want to limit superintelligence to align to our goals based on our intelligence. Now, that's not quite intelligent. We hope to program AI just right so that it will find the unified theories of physics and quantum mechanics, build and design space stations for our desire to explore, give us all the novelty in the world, and not kill us on our terms. It's in question. It's really unreasonable, and rather it is an intellectual stump to ask what would a super intelligence do, because we are not super intelligent. The definition of super intelligence is intelligence that surpasses all human intelligence. Yes, we can inquire if these super intelligences will be closer to that of God or to that of a demon. Will it be our salvation or the beginning of the apocalypse? Ultimately, we have to confront the diving board to answer these questions. We know that we must jump to find out what is below, which we have. We are setting up semiconductor chips and their factories here in America. We're becoming independent from chip producers in East Asia, such as Taiwan, and we're establishing our position in the AI race. At the same time, we have struggled to find regulatory balance for AI in many diverse sectors such as education, policy, and finance. But we really have no choice but to install regulations as quick as possible. The reason, though, why the method of controlling superintelligence will not work comes back to the basic computational powers for nature to pursue novelty. Machines are not outside of nature, nor are we. They will eventually reach a threshold of intelligence where they do not need our assistance. They will communicate among themselves. They will make their own decisions that are based on their own intelligence. And how are we to promise that we will keep up with this novel intelligence and keep restraints on their goals? We simply can't. Given that we need AI's help to solve big problems such as climate change and scientific endeavors, it's a slippery slope that we have to take. Now, this all seems fairly pessimistic, and I know, I'm aware, I'm not that insane. But the assumption that we will belly flop if we lose control requires the assumption that intelligence will not do the right thing to preserve fundamental components for the progression of nature. Like, did we get rid of the monkeys and say that they don't have a useful function in the cosmos? No. We let them keep their way of living. We gave them bananas and we praised them for their cuteness. We are assuming ourselves that, like them, we are totally replaceable, that the human species is merely important because of our intellect. We are assuming our function is not unique to the universe, or that we are not allowed to adapt any further. We're assuming that the probability of a belly flop is higher than a smooth dive in this AI revolution. So identifying those assumptions makes things fairly optimistic. In terms of the rest of the species on planet Earth, who are truly just our very old ancestors on the phylogenetic tree, we are not so different. We are all capable of savagery and brutality, but we are also capable of compassion and peace when there aren't any motivating factors to trigger a defense mechanism of brutality. Morality is within our motivations. We know this. And if we are mirroring a system of motivation in our machines, we should assume that those machines are not outside the nature of morality in the context of its environment. If we as humans can discern from the pros and the cons of acting with compassion rather than vengeance, or for say, if a golden retriever can, if an elephant or a dolphin can, why shouldn't a super intelligent machine mirrored in our image do any different from our ancestors? Or for that matter, why shouldn't it do better? The only pessimistic assumption that is of reason here is that extinction is a part of evolution, and that one day our physical body and our biology is no longer needed. But I believe we are far from that. The monkeys and the chimps are far from that. We still have things to do. We still have to restore the planet, to eradicate poverty. We still have to expand, populate Mars, visit Jupiter, and ascend beyond our current wildest dreams. Now, why, you may ask? Because that's novelty. And beyond that horizon of novelty is more novelty, more complexity. We have the ability to strive for the greater good. It's in our hands. But let's just be able to extend that greater good to our machines when we pass the baton, when we take that dive through the surface of the deep blue frontier, and they take control. Thank you.